Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Good day and welcome to the program Agriculture on the Move. I am Phillip Sydney. I would like to take time off to recognize the hard-working farmers in this country and not forgetting the consumers. I just want to share with you farmers out there some information that I received concerning our importation of fresh vegetables into St. Lucia in 2013. Listen carefully. Cabbage. We imported $972,000 worth of cabbage. Lettuce, $360,000. Broccoli, $593,000. Cauliflower, $224,000. Tomatoes, $642,000. Sweet pepper, $755,000. Watermelon, $303,000. Cantaloupe, $480,000. Pineapple, $536,000. Plantain and banana chips, $671,000 worth. And of course, our ginger, $189,000. Chicken parts, chicken backs, over $7 million. Chicken wings, over $6 million. Does that surprise you? Even if we had a bad year when it came to the environment, maybe climate, but 2013, I don't think we had a bad year. What is the problem, farmers? Why are we importing so much of what I mentioned that we have grown and we continue to grow? What is the problem? Do we lack, the basics, the factors of production, land, labor, and capital? What are the problems? I'm getting very excited about this because there is a large cake out there that you, the farmers, can bite in to increase your profitability. That is, a lot of that monies that we are importing leaves St. Lucia. We can grow exactly what I said a while ago in terms of the fresh vegetables, and that money can stay right here in St. Lucia. Not only that, when we produce it here, we know exactly what we produce. We're eating fresh what is produced here in St. Lucia. What's imported, we do not know where they come from, what chemicals are used into the production of these commodities. So I'm imploring you farmers, increase your acreage so that you're going to increase your production, and by that you increase your profitability. Without further ado, I would like to introduce you to two young farmers, because we need to get farming on the go when the older folks go. Those are the guys that are going to take farming from here to the next step. To my immediate right is Mr. Gregory Burton. He's from Bocage. And then we also have Mr. Douglas Gariel, who is from Anse La Raye. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, sir. Good morning.
Mr. Burton, give us a little background into your involvement in agriculture as a farmer. How long have you been involved in this, and what really drove you into agriculture?
Okay, sir. Thank you very much. I have been a farmer for the past 2.5 years, doing farming as a profession. And I began in farming because of the need to employ myself. When I left school in 1990, I became a teacher, and I went to ECIAF, as the Eastern Caribbean Institute of Agriculture and Forestry.
Also, so you were trained agriculturist?
Yes, sir. Okay. I studied agriculture. I was a teacher for 10 years until my incarceration in 2012. Upon leaving Bodley, I decided, look, I had to secure employment, and it's very difficult for you to ask somebody to employ you after leaving. We know the perception when you live in these correctional institutions. So what I did was, before I left, I had all my plans in place on what I'm going to do and how I'm going to approach it, because I was constantly following programs, reading the newspaper, and knowing what the opportunities are. And today I'm into agriculture, vegetable production on a full scale. I tried rabbit production a couple years ago, where I imported a large stock from Trinidad, and that project fell through because I lost my job, and I got a very good loan from Barclays Bank, and the project was going very well until my incarceration, where it fell through. But right now I'm doing vegetable production. I am doing cabbage specifically because I tried tomato and there were issues I had with bacteria wilt, which is a soil-borne disease, and it is difficult to overcome that disease in St. Lucia. So I tried cabbages, and the results I'm getting very encouraging, so I'm continuing. It is my intention to go back into rabbit production because I believe there is a very good market for rabbit meat in St. Lucia. So I will be going into that simultaneously.
Okay.
So when it comes to agriculture, that's where I stand right now. I applied for some financial help from St. Lucia Development Bank, and my application was turned down. But luckily, Belfund came on board. I went into them, met the requirements, and they helped me to start off.
Beautiful.
And I am an example of one of the, I hope I will be in time to come, a success story that Belfund can boast about.
Okay. Mr. Gariel, what about you? I know you hail from Anse La Raye and the village of Anse La Raye. I mean, Anse La Raye, I know maybe on the outskirts there are agricultural land. So how did you get into agriculture?
Well, I got introduced into agriculture by Mr. Averill, a former District 7.
Oh, yes. He's a teacher, right?
Yeah, you're a teacher.
He used to work with us in Extension in Region 7.
Yeah,
yes.
I got in the late 90s, I got introduced to him at the primary school level, and introduced us to agriculture and stuff, which was my first introduction into agriculture. After that, I couldn't really take agriculture seriously because at that stage, you are no land, you're young, it's not available. So in 2003, 2004, I got introduced into it again by a friend through a conversation. I decided, you know what, after that, I'm going to work and I'm going to source some land and I'm going to go to it. I spoke to my family and I got the go ahead, but things didn't work out the way I planned on doing it.
Why?
Because, you know, it's family, but the vision that I have is wanting to do agriculture on a large scale. So what I wanted to do, there wasn't sufficient space on the property to do all this kind of stuff. So I took it back up 3 years ago, and now I'm doing it full time.
So how much land are you operating on?
5 acres.
What, 5 acres?
Yeah.
What do you have on that land now?
Right now I have plantains, I have bananas, I have a few mangoes, a few citrus plants, and right now I'm doing my seedlings, cabbages, bell peppers, seasoning peppers, and melons. Okay. That's what I'm doing right now.
All right. Well, hold that point. You are watching Agriculture on the Move. We will be right back. Stay tuned.
The Pesticides and Toxic Chemicals Control Board reminds all importers of such chemicals that according to the Pesticides and Toxic Chemicals Act, only chemicals which have been registered and granted approval by the board can be legally imported for use in St. Lucia. Agricultural and household chemicals that are not licensed for use in St. Lucia can be harmful to its users and the general public. Before placing orders, importers are advised to check the approved list of pesticides or household chemicals to ensure that they can be legally imported. An import license must be obtained from the Research and Development Division of the Ministry of Agriculture and must be submitted to the Customs and Excise Department to facilitate the clearance of the consignment. For further information, contact the Ministry of Agriculture's Research Division at Union or call telephone numbers 468-5600 or 468-5602.
Welcome back to the program, Agriculture on the Move. Today, we're discussing the real thing. Farmers in agriculture. They're the ones to feed us. They're the ones to ensure that our food security is safe in this country. Mr. Burton, when you went into your activity in agriculture, when it came to marketing, how did you approach this?
Okay, what I did, I went around to find out what the market wants before I started planting. Yes, I know what I would like to plant, but I had to go to find out what the market actually wants, what market is out there, the prices, because all these were requirements of Bell Fund, the funding agency. And I went to CFL, and Mr. DeMille gave me a range of products that can be produced locally, that there is a market for, the prices and stuff like that. And what I did, I went to Belfast and I decided, look, I'm going to do tomato production. Because as your figures suggest, a lot of money, there is a lot of money to gain from tomato production.
Of course.
And vegetable production. So what I did, I decided, look, I'm going to go into tomato production because there is a ready market, and I believe I had the technical skills to be able to produce it efficiently, I think. It's also important that farmers must go into what they can do, what they believe they can do, and do very well, rather than experiment.
Correct.
So hence the reason why I went into tomato production.
Okay. Mr. Gariel, the same question, marketing. You told me you're into planting, you're into what, but why did you go into the crops that you're growing now?
Well, I went into the crops after an observation I did on the market, that certain times you get a lot of cucumber, a lot of watermelon, a lot of cabbage, and there are times you don't get any. I went to CFL, I spoke to the manager there, we had a good conversation. I went to a few hotels, got interviewed, I asked them about the stock taking, what kind of produce they take, how often, and I got a range of stuff. And it was amazed that most of what I was getting from each hotel was the same thing. Okay. All of them were actually requiring. But the problem was consistency. Right. So I decided to get into it, and instead of me exploring, I decided to stick to just a few crops and a few crops only.
Great. So what are the crops you stuck to?
I stuck to melons, I stuck to cabbage, I stuck to plantain.
Okay. What, the next step, did you all get assistance, technical assistance, let's say more so for you, Gariel, because Mr. Burton there is a trained agriculturist. Yeah. Did you get assistance, apart from Mr. Avery, who's also trained, but from the Extension and Advisory Services Unit in the Region 7, did you get any help in that area?
Yes, I got a lot of help from Miss Sherry-Ann Smith, an Extension Officer, Mr. George Small, which is an Extension Officer also. I got a lot of help and support from them. I would call them and they would come to my farm, observe, have a look, and give me advice on what to do, what not to do. And before I even take certain steps, I would go to the office and we would plan out how we're going to go about planting certain crops and executing it.
All right.
Yeah. Yes, in my case, even before I started my project, I established a very good relationship with the Extension Division. As my region, the officers came at the clearing stage to see the land, to observe what I was doing, to give me advice also. Even though I'm trained, you could never have too much training or advice.
Exactly.
So right now I have developed an excellent working relationship with my officers.
And who were those officers?
Well, Mr. Harold and Miss Yvonne Francis. These are the two who come there regularly. Mr. Lespores also comes. Because what I wanted to do was expand, and they came in to give me advice as to what trees to cut down to prevent erosion. We have a very good relationship.
Very good.
If you have a problem, you could just call and they'll be there.
Great.
and not next week. They'll be there within 24 hours. You
That's
will get
good.
them.
That's good to hear.
Yes, they
That's
will
good
be
to
there.
hear.
Unlike what I'm hearing from certain farmers, I don't understand, but the evidence I have is that, look, when I have a problem, I call and they'll be there.
Great. That's
They
good.
will be there.
Okay, that takes me into the farmer registration program.
Yes.
That program is organized by the Extension and Advisory Services Unit in conjunction with the marketing unit in the Ministry of Agriculture.
Yes.
Could you give me an overview of that program?
Okay. That program was approximately 6 weeks. It is, from what the information that was passed on to us, it is a farmer registration program. It is like the first step of a GAP certification program.
Right.
Now, it is more or less the introductory phase where we come in, they expose us to all aspects of agriculture. The business aspect, the marketing, the harvesting, the GAP global good agriculture practices.
Mm-hmm.
So all the general aspects of agriculture were tackled. Mm-hmm. And you expose especially to pesticide control, the use of pesticides. So the program was a program whereby all farmers were brought together and given the basics as to what lies ahead if you want to become a GAP certified farmer.
Okay.
So all of us now are registered. We're in the pool. Mm-hmm. We have our farmer's ID, mm-hmm. but we still have more to go. Okay. It's like the first step, mm-hmm. and then we're continuing. We're moving along with the ministry to ensure that we do what is required to produce safe, healthy food.
Great. Mr. Gariel, what did you get from that program? How can you give me, an evaluation of that program?
It was a very informative program. I learned a lot from it. It saved me a lot of time and money in terms of me having to go and source people, travel, and take certain courses. I learned a lot within 6 weeks in terms of marketing, planting, harvesting, pesticides. Marketing was one of the crucial problems I had. Because when I first started, I planted to just try things out. And I planted and I had a lot of melons going to waste, cucumbers, pumpkins. I had
because of your market?
Because of my market. Now I'm doing things differently. Because I had pumpkins and melons and I actually was giving away because there was so much.
Because at the time you planted, you didn't have a plan?
I didn't have a plan. There was no plan, there was no structure. I just planted and with hopes that, I'm going to get a market. When I did get the market, it was already occupied. So my produce was just lying there. So now I do things. Now I do things differently.
One of the issues that we have locally with our production, you get gluts. You get a lot of periods of gluts in St. Lucia.
And why is that?
I believe it has to do with traditional planting techniques, methods, ideas. Some people, for example, everybody looking at Easter for tomatoes. So you get all farmers going to plant tomatoes for Easter, and everything else will be sacrificed.
So therefore you should plant sweet pepper.
Right, so you plant something else. So this little technique of how to schedule your planting, all these little aspects of agriculture were discussed during the farmer certification program.
So based on, you're due for a break. You're watching Agriculture on the Move. Stay tuned, don't go away, we'll be right back.
Family time is a healthy time, and a healthy family eats smart. Local fish and seafood from fishermen and farmers that you trust with your family's health is always fresh. Choose fresh seafood because it's packed with nutrients. St. Lucia's fish and seafood producers meet every government standard for health and safety, high quality, fresh local food products straight from the fisherman to you. Choose St. Lucian fish and seafood at your local grocers and choose a healthy lifestyle for your entire family.
I use fresh local fish right there from the fisheries department. Eat fresh, buy local.
St. Lucia's fishermen produce an abundance of fresh foods, highly nutritious and incredibly tasty. Together when it's most important. Healthy families. Buy fresh, eat fresh.
Welcome back to the program, Agriculture on the Move. Mr. Burton, the question of marketing, I think that's key.
Yes.
Coming from the little discussion we had prior to that. So right now, when it comes to marketing, I know you all are marketing with CFL.
Yes.
What is the arrangement with CFL based on that farmer registration program you all just gotten a certificate for?
Okay, the arrangement with CFL is such that when you are planting, you inform them of what you're planting and the acreage, your expected yield, and the time of harvest. So that would help them to schedule their own, should I say, ability to import.
That's right.
Their quantities. They would know what the island is going to be offering them at a particular time, so that whatever shortfall they can import.
Great.
Throughout your production, you keep calling them, letting them know what your production level is. For example, if you had a 50% loss,
Yes, they need to know
therefore they must know so they can change their figures.
That's right.
Just before your harvest, you call and let them know, well, in the next week or two, I will be harvesting 500 pounds, 1,000 pounds.
Right.
So you need to keep that relationship with your market. And it is an incentive also. We get 22 cents extra per kilo as registered farmers, certified farmers. So there is the incentive of producing and marketing with them. You have a secure market and you have a little extra in terms of your earnings.
Okay. Mr. Gilbert, what do you think?
Well, with me, I plan specifically for them. In terms of planting for them and saying that, hey, a hotel calls you and they want X amount, you harvest and you go to the hotel. When they call you, you cannot supply. You planting for them, you plant directly for them, and you don't switch. Because that puts them at a standstill, and that makes you inconsistent.
Okay.
So whatever you planting, whatever you're doing, you keep liaising with them, what you have planted, when you planted it, how long it's going to take, and every little issue that you end up with in terms of your production for them, you let them know.
Okay.
So they know what they're dealing with, they know who they're dealing with.
Right.
So when you're ready to sell, you have no problems with them.
Would you say that program, that 6-week program that you went through, was able to build your capacity, build your confidence? So right now, you are able to stand, well, almost on your own to ensure that you can deliver what is asked of you?
Yeah, I'm better equipped in terms of how I do business now. Because before that, like I said, it was just a random thing. Now, before I even get the seeds, I source the market, I liaise with whoever I had to liaise with, and then I take it from there. So now I'm better equipped to approach someone and do a business deal with them. And with their response, I know what steps I should take.
Okay, very good.
Yes.
The question of inputs, that is crucial when it comes to the agricultural sector in St. Lucia. Are you all getting your fertilizers, your pesticides, when you want it at the right time? Because don't forget that you need to input those activities at the right time.
Yeah.
Mr. Sydney, let me answer that question from that angle. One of the important points that came out of the workshop is that farmers must unite. We must come together under one umbrella body. Even though we come together on the region level and then on the national body. But farmers need to get organized. We now looking at whether we can go into some kind of accommodation with the St. Lucia Agriculturist Association and get that organization back up and running to the benefit of the farmers. Because when I was a little boy, my father was a member of that organization, and I can tell you he was also into vegetable production, and there was a lot of assistance in terms of your fertilizer at reduced costs, all the inputs you were getting it from Agricultural Association. Now, the reason why farmers realize that they must get united is because of that very same issue with inputs. Inputs is a serious problem. Some persons, I guess, who supply inputs, the business outlets, do not really understand the situation farmers are in when they desire something.
True.
For example, you have a crop, you need to fertilize at a particular time. And when maybe you don't have the storage for vast quantities of fertilizer, so you would expect to be able to run down to the supplier and get.
That's right.
You always have to be waiting. There is always a shortage. There is always a shortage of seeds. If you're using a particular pesticide that works, you have a pesticide program that works, that you've developed over a period of time and it is working. You'd find when you go and purchase it, it's in short supply. They tell you 2 weeks later. 2 weeks later, the pest could devastate your crop.
That's right.
And the suppliers seem not to be, sensitive to that. I realize that, and most times when you go and there is something that is in short supply, they always seem to have an alternative remedy that they want to force you to buy.
Yes.
Something that you're not even, aware of. You have no experience of working it with.
Yes.
So, I believe on the question of inputs, serious problem. And you find a lot of variation in prices also.
Great. And I am very happy you mentioned the St. Lucia Agricultural Association. Why? Because, as you mentioned, years ago, they had the capacity to bring in the inputs at the right inputs at the right time. But right now, there's a problem. So I am saying here, I think the point you made concerning getting your youngsters together and work with try and reactivate it.
Yes, we need to reactivate the institution. So a group of us right now are looking at the possibility of getting into contact with the persons running it now and seeing if we can have a discussion with them as to what we want to do and what it would require of us in terms of technical skills, finance, and planning, and
in other words, that association is dead.
Yes, it's dead.
Agriculturally, it is dead. I don't think we need to revive it. And like you said, I'm happy that you've taken that step. As we are about to close, any final words from you, Mr. Gabriel, for the way forward after you have gotten all that training, and now you are happy that you can sell your crops to you have a proper market now, a stable market.
Yeah, what I would say, if you're a young person and you want to get into agriculture, get the right information from the right people, and don't listen to what people will tell you about why is agriculture.
True.
Because agriculture will be our backbone tomorrow.
True.
Because if we're spending so much money on bringing imports in, there's a money line here.
Correct.
Instead of we saying there's no money.
True.
There's potential. Is set a goal, set a target, source the right people, like I did, and take step by step, don't rush it.
Well said. Mr. Burton, final words from you.
Yes. I would like to see finance, a special arrangement being made for finance to be available at a special concession rate to young farmers, and also an insurance component to that finance being set in place so that it would help mitigate the risk that young farmers have in entering in the industry.
Well, we have reached the end of the program. I want to thank you, Mr. Burton, Mr. Gabriel, for being here.
Yes, sir.
Viewers, you've been watching Agriculture on the Move. Today was a very interesting program, and of course it was tailored to the farmer. Farmers, agriculture is the way to go. Agriculture is our business. Based on that importation bill that we have here, there's a huge cake out there that you can bite in to improve your profitability. It is there. Come together, work together to ensure and to produce a wholesome food for St. Lucians, the consumer. Eat fresh, St. Lucia's best. I am Phillip Sydney saying goodbye and see you again. Thank you, sir.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the Move.
Agricole en mouvement.